I've said it before that this reef tank is very special to me, and there are so many reasons why. Since I was a kid and saw photos of fish, that I dreamed of being able to see them in person. Fast forward to 2005, I saw a nano that was running with soft corals, live rock, a heater, a pump, and a T8 bulb. That was it. That was the beginning of the saltwater journey for me and the time that I, like so many of us, became that little girl at the dentist in Finding Nemo that loves and terrifies the fish. The tank turns 2.5 years old today, and I can't say how much I enjoyed the ride so far. There's been ups and downs, of course, but overall things are fine. Back in January, the bubble algae was acting like it wanted to conquer the world, and I decided to use Vibrant. I had to dose it for 4 months, and still, I'm willing to bet that although I can't see any bubble algae anymore, someday they'll rear again their ugly head from a hidden nook in the rockwork. Vibrant has sent this tank back 2 years, maturity-wise. It destabilized the tank's biome and I lost some big colonies. So for the past few months, I've been dealing with an explosion of algae of all sorts, including Bryopsis, Derbasia, and a few others I can't even identify. I don't have a cleanup crew, maybe aside from the urchin, so I am the grazer of the tank. Once per week, I spend about an hour picking up algae from the rock. I've been here before 2 years ago, and eventually it got better. So my plan for now is to diligently continue to fulfill the role of algae grazer. No fluconazole will be thrown in this tank, at least for now. Picking up algae is not something I enjoy doing, and it really breaks my back. But in a way, physically messing with the tank makes me feel part of the fish community. The difference between now and 2 years ago is that the coral mass is much larger, so there's not so much real estate for the algae as before. I think I underestimated the algal consumption of the tank, and the calcium reactor now can't cope with the demands of the tank, and it's the Zept Autobalance who is keeping things in balance by dosing the 3-part solution. The algae problem is not caused by a nutrient issue, and I've never had the nutrients so much in control as I have now. I'm dosing nitrates, and I removed the GFO, and I go heavier on feeding when phosphates get below 0.1. I'm convinced that the algae appeared after Vibrant messed up the bacteria population. I have only 2 types of pellies, dull green species and utter chaos. The 3 filefish almost drove the dull green ones to extinction, but they haven't touched the utter chaos, at least that I've noticed. Yet, the utter chaos have been shrinking. I'm not sure if it's a consequence of a period of low nutrients, the nets of the many hundreds of vermetid snails, or if it's some deficiency of some element. I just began dosing Aquaforest Life Source. It's mud from Fiji. The goal is to bring some biodiversity back into the tank and provide some mishmash of elements that the tank may be lacking, given that I don't do regular water changes. I normally don't feed the corals. I don't see much benefit for my tank, because I feed the fish 7 times per day and fish have notoriously poor digestive systems. What comes out is still very nutritious and even wrapped in a bacteria to top it off. I cultured and dosed phytoplankton for many months, and I didn't see much benefit other than an increase in sponges. so I quit. The backbone of the way I manage my tank is assuming my own ignorance on what goes on in a reef tank. And this is not false modesty. I also assume everyone else is also ignorant on this issue. This is such a complex mini ecosystem with hundreds of microbe species and over 70 chemicals elements interacting. I don't value science too much when applied to a reef tank, because we're dealing with a chaotic system. So, in my view, all I can do is try to replicate natural conditions and hope for the best. That's also the reason why I began using the Aquaforest Life Source, that mud collected from Fiji, and why I try to keep the elements I can test through home tests or ICP close to natural water parameters. This tank has a few curious balances between the animals. There are 4 Dwarf Angels that nip at a variety of corals. Each one of them has its own preferences. The 2 females of the Heraldi and Flame couples do nip at the clams. I try to reduce the nipping by placing the clams next to each other. It kind of works, because the angels don't go out of their way to nip the clams. They're just passing by, they notice the clam and nip they do. If the clams are scattered, they receive more nips overall. The 3 filefish don't nip, they eat corals, and their taste for them is constantly evolving. At first, they went after the Aptasias, then they went for the Zinnias, then the green Pallies, then an orange drop bubble tip anemone, then a couple of wall hammers. Finally, they began picking on the rainbow bubble tips. They graze on the anemone colony, but they don't kill them. Now, when they find an anemone away from the colony, they take no prisoners and they finish it off. Before they began eating bubble tips, every week there would be 3 or 4 rogue anemones that moved away from the colony, and I would move the ones that I could detach from the rocks to the refugium. The ones that I couldn't, I had to leave stinging the nearby corals. Now, the filefish get them before I even notice them most of the times. Another unlikely balance are the Cardinals. There's 10 of them, 9 Bengai and 1 threadfin. They're kind of form a pack in a way. The threadfin now I think believes is one of the Bengais. Most of the times when you have more than a pair of Bengais, the pair will kill all the others. And this happens no matter how big of a tank you have. These fish are all related and grew up in this tank. There were times when I had to intervene to prevent them from killing each other, but they have been at peace now for a long time, and there are 3 breeding pairs. The 2 hawks have become expert baby Bengai hunters, and they learn to navigate between the anemone feet and avoid the tentacles while searching for baby Bengais. The clown trio is another uncommon family. The female must be close to 10 years now, and the other 2 should be around 6 years old. The smaller one hasn't grown at all since I introduced him in the tank 6 years ago. When I introduced the Magnifica, which is their natural host, hell broke loose. And after I put through all the fish psychotherapy I could think of, they got back together. Me becoming their enemy was ultimately what did the trick. Oddly enough, they stopped biting me since then, and I'm even allowed to pick algae near their eggs. I got 2 betas with different sizes, hoping they would pair up, Well, not only they haven't paired up, but they're not even the same species. I suspect both of them are males by now, and I think that it's the fact that they're really different fish that has prevented them from killing each other. The Altivelis is a much more outgoing fish, he eats more and it grows much faster. The Argus is extremely shy, and sometimes it's really challenging to feed. There's only 4 more fish in the tank. 2 of them are always out and about. It's the Tomini Tang and the Diamond Goby. The other 2 are a waspfish and a yellow assessor. I see the yellow assessor sometimes in the morning, and then I can go for weeks without seeing him again. I see the waspfish only in the evening when I dose frozen food. There are 3 fish that I target feed, the 2 marine bettas and the waspfish. I think they could take care of themselves, but they would be much skinnier. The tank itself is looking more mature, not only because of the size of the corals, but also because it shows many battle scars. Corals that died, that were broken or damaged. It gives the tank a kind of a rugged look. The growth patterns of the acros add to this contorted look, and I think it's caused by the fact that I have the lights oriented at an angle. Every time I pick algae, I end up breaking something. And quite often the tank looks better afterwards, with the extra free space. At some time, less is more. Once again, thanks for watching.